17 stars currently serving time in prison and why you wouldn't recognize them today. Welcome to our deep dive into the shocking stories of celebrities who traded fame and success for scandal and consequences. Once admired for their talent and influence, these stars now serve as cautionary tales of how poor choices can lead to downfall. From deceit to legal battles, their lives reveal the hidden truths behind the spotlight. Leave your thoughts below as we explore their dramatic falls from grace and the lessons we can learn from their journeys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming stories. Amy Locane, widely recognized for her role on the TV series Melrose Place, was once celebrated for her talent and charisma. But in 2010, her life changed forever when she was involved in a car crash that tragically took the life of Helen Seaman and seriously injured her husband, Fred Seaman. The incident, which resulted from Locane's unsafe driving, had a lasting impact on both her career and personal life. On the day of the crash, she was driving with a blood alcohol level well above the legal limit. Witnesses said she had been speeding and driving erratically before the impact. Her car struck the Seaman's vehicle as they were turning into their driveway, leading to heartbreaking consequences. During the trial, Locane showed sincere remorse for her actions and acknowledged the lasting damage she had caused. Still, prosecutors maintained that her choice to drive under the influence showed a clear disregard for the value of human life. She was initially given a 3-year prison sentence, but after appeals and further legal review, her sentence was increased to more accurately reflect the seriousness of the incident. Locane's case stands as a tragic example of how one reckless decision can lead to life-altering consequences. It also serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of impaired driving and the deep lasting effects it can have on both the victims' families and the individuals involved. Jared Fogle, once internationally recognized as the face of Subway thanks to his inspiring weight loss story, was seen as a symbol of health and perseverance. But in 2015, his public image collapsed when he was arrested and convicted for deeply disturbing offenses. His actions, which included possession of illegal materials and harmful conduct, led to the complete downfall of his reputation and brought his career to an abrupt end. The investigation began after a colleague reported concerns to authorities, prompting an in-depth FBI inquiry. Evidence such as digital communications and other materials directly linked Fogle to criminal behavior. During the trial, testimony revealed the disturbing nature of his actions, underscoring the seriousness of the case. Although he expressed regret, the weight of his offenses could not be ignored. information, including emails and text messages that painted a clear picture of her involvement in NXIVM. Mack ultimately pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges and was sentenced to 3 years in prison in 2021. At her sentencing hearing, she expressed deep remorse for her actions, acknowledging the harm she caused to those she persuaded to join the organization. This case sparked widespread discussion about the dangers of unchecked influence and the moral responsibilities of public figures. It also highlighted how easily trust can be exploited under the guise of self-improvement, revealing the darker side of celebrity influence and the vulnerability of those seeking personal growth. Mack's downfall stands in stark contrast to her previous career, where she portrayed a loyal and morally grounded character who was beloved by fans. Her story now serves as a cautionary tale about the destructive power of influence when misused and underscores the importance of vigilance when seeking guidance or mentorship. What once seemed like a promising career in Hollywood has now become a sobering reminder of how easily one can be led astray by manipulation and exploitation, especially when trust and power are misused under the guise of self-improvement. Zachary Horwitz, an actor and self-proclaimed film producer, rose to infamy not for his on-screen roles, but for orchestrating a bold financial scam that shook Hollywood. Known professionally as Zach Avery Horwitz, ran a Ponzi scheme from 2014 to 2019, defrauding investors of up to $650 million by promising lucrative film licensing deals with industry giants like HBO and Netflix. Behind the facade of a successful entrepreneur, Horwitz had created a web of deceit which eventually unraveled in a spectacular and disastrous fashion. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the lengths to which some will go to maintain the appearance of success. Zachary Horwitz, an actor and self-proclaimed film producer, became infamous not for his roles on screen, but for orchestrating a daring financial scam that rocked Hollywood. Operating under the professional name Zach Avery Horwitz, ran a Ponzi scheme from 2014 to 2019, defrauding investors of up to $650 million by promising lucrative film licensing deals with major industry players like HBO and Netflix. Beneath the facade of a thriving entrepreneur, Horwitz had built an elaborate web of lies, which eventually unraveled in a spectacular and disastrous way. His story serves as the cautionary tale about the perils of unchecked ambition and the extremes some will go to in order to create the illusion of success. In 2021, federal authorities arrested Horwitz, exposing the full extent of his elaborate scam. In court, he was found guilty of security Innocence, the weight of the evidence led to a 12-year prison sentence for him and a 7-year sentence for Julie. The case stunned fans and dismantled the carefully crafted image of the well-known reality TV family. Todd Chrisley's story is a cautionary example of the risks that come with living beyond one's means and the serious consequences of financial misconduct. Once a popular television personality, his fall from grace highlights the importance of honesty and responsibility, especially for those in the public eye. His legacy now serves as a powerful reminder of how deception can unravel even the most polished public image. Colin Rashad Walker, an actor and rapper who appeared in films like Straight Outta Compton, was once seen as a rising star with immense potential in the entertainment industry. However, his promising career was quickly overshadowed by a series of disturbing allegations that exposed a deeply troubling pattern of behavior. In 2018, Walker was arrested and charged with multiple counts of sexual assault, with victims accusing him of using his fame to exploit and harm them. These accusations sent shockwaves through the entertainment world, leaving many shocked by the contrast between his public persona and the gravity of the allegations against him. During the trial, prosecutors presented harrowing accounts from multiple victims, most of whom were aspiring models and actresses. Walker allegedly used the allure of career advancement and his connections in the entertainment industry to lure young women only to manipulate and abuse them. Evidence, including electronic communications and testimonies, painted a chilling picture of coercion and deceit. Victims described feeling pressured and trapped, fearing professional retaliation or social ostracism if they spoke out. The case highlighted the devastating impact of exploitation and the abuse of power within the entertainment industry, shedding light on the darker side of fame and ambition. In 2022, Walker was convicted on multiple sexual assault charges and sentenced to a lengthy prison term. His case garnered widespread attention not only for the severity of his crimes, but also for the systemic issues it exposed within the entertainment industry. The trial sparked important discussions about the abuse of power and the urgent need to create safer environments for vulnerable individuals. Walker's downfall serves as a grim reminder of how fame and influence can be misused for personal gain. His actions left a deep and lasting impact on his victims and permanently tarnished his reputation. What could have been a bright future in Hollywood has instead become a cautionary tale about accountability and the devastating consequences of abusing trust and power. Skylar DeLeon, a former child actor who had a minor role in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, fell into infamy for a horrific crime conduct and criminal acts involving a teenager. The revelation sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry as her disciplined and strong public persona starkly contrasted with the accusations against her. During the trial, the victim, who was just 13 at the time, provided compelling testimony detailing how Fithian and Mark exploited their positions of trust and manipulated her over an extended period. Evidence including text messages and corroborated statements supported the allegations, leaving little doubt about the gravity of their actions. The case served as a shocking reminder that public personas can often mask darker truths and that trust can be easily exploited by those in positions of influence. Fithian and her husband received long prison sentences, bringing a clear end to her career in entertainment. The case drew attention to serious concerns about the misuse of authority and trust, especially when it comes to safeguarding young people in industries where power dynamics can be easily abused. Fithian's story is a powerful reminder that public success and talent can sometimes conceal deeply troubling behavior. The consequences of her actions ultimately overshadowed her achievements, leaving a lasting impact on how she is remembered. Ryan Grantham, once a promising young actor known for his roles in Riverdale and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, shocked the world with a crime that destroyed his career and reputation. In March 2020, at just 21 years old, Grantham committed the unthinkable shooting and killing his mother, Barbara Waite, at their home in British Columbia. The act was premeditated, as Grantham filmed a video confession immediately afterward, showing a chilling indifference to his actions. The case took an even darker turn when investigators uncovered his subsequent plan to assassinate Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Armed with weapons, ammunition, and a map leading to Trudeau's residence, Grantham set out to carry out his grim mission, but ultimately turned himself in. His descent from a rising star to a criminal made the headlines, marking a disturbing chapter in the world of entertainment and serving as a stark reminder of how a troubled mind can lead to irreversible decisions. During the trial, prosecutors argued that Grantham's actions were the result of severe psychological issues, but they also emphasized the premeditated nature of his crime, leaving no room for leniency. In 2022, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 14 years, a punishment that reflected the severity of his offenses. Grantham's story highlights the devastating combination of untreated mental health struggles and unchecked violence, which ultimately led to the destruction of his once promising career. From a rising star to a convicted murderer, his tragic downfall serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of unresolved inner turmoil and the far-reaching impact of violence on families and communities. His story is a chilling example of how untreated mental health issues being in the spotlight. Her story illustrates the harmful effects of greed and the betrayal of trust, particularly when directed at vulnerable individuals. Once a fan favorite, her legacy is now overshadowed by her conviction, serving as a cautionary example of how unchecked ambition and ethical lapses can lead to lasting consequences. Joe Exotic, born Joseph Maldonado Passage, rose to international fame through the Netflix documentary Tiger King, which showcased his eccentric personality and chaotic lifestyle as the owner of a private zoo in Oklahoma. However, beneath the charismatic exterior and dramatic feuds lay a dark and tumultuous reality. In 2019, Joe Exotic was arrested on charges including murder for hire and violations of wildlife laws. At the heart of his legal troubles was his bitter rivalry with Carole Baskin, a prominent animal rights activist, which ultimately became the focal point of his downfall. His story, once full of flamboyance and controversy, quickly morphed into one of crime and scandal, with his criminal activities leading to his eventual conviction. The feud between Joe Exotic and Carole Baskin, marked by public accusations and heated exchanges, reached a boiling point when Joe attempted to hire someone to carry out a plot to kill Baskin, though the plan was never executed. Investigators uncovered evidence of payments and conversations linking him to the scheme. In addition to this, authorities charged Joe with killing 5 tigers at his zoo and trafficking protected animals, revealing the unethical practices behind the scenes of his operation. These revelations painted a troubling picture of exploitation and cruelty, sharply contrasting with the flamboyant public persona he had built. The truth behind the zoo's operations shattered the image of a quirky, misunderstood character and exposed the dark reality of his business. In 2020, Joe Exotic was convicted and sentenced to 22 years in federal prison. His downfall sparked intense debates about the ethics of wild animal ownership and the consequences of unchecked egos and personal vendettas. Despite his incarceration, Joe's notoriety endured, with supporters rallying for his release and even seeking presidential intervention. His story is a bizarre mix of entertainment and tragedy, shining a light on the dangers of unregulated wildlife exploitation and the destructive power of personal grudges. Once a controversial but captivating figure in reality television, Joe Exotic's legacy is now defined by his crimes, a cautionary tale, and a sobering reflection on the darker sides of fame, ambition, and the lengths some will go to for power and revenge. Chris Wu, born Wu Yifan, is a Canadian entertainer who first gained international fame as a member of the K-pop group EXO, later branching out into a successful acting career. Investigations revealed compelling evidence, including emails and witness accounts that exposed the harmful culture Weinstein had fostered within his company. In 2020, Harvey Weinstein was found guilty on criminal charges, including sexual assault and rape, after a widely publicized trial. He received a 23-year prison sentence, a landmark ruling that brought a sense of justice to his victims and marked a turning point in how misconduct is addressed within the entertainment industry. The case became a powerful catalyst, encouraging survivors from all sectors to come forward and confront the long-standing culture of silence that had shielded powerful figures like Weinstein. His fall from grace stands as one of the most dramatic in Hollywood's history. Once hailed as a celebrated producer, Weinstein is now seen as a symbol of systemic abuse and the repercussions of unchecked influence. His conviction remains a defining moment in the ongoing push for accountability and equity in the workplace. Michael Jace, best known for his role as Officer Julian Lowe in the hit series, The Shield, shocked the entertainment world with a crime that revealed a dark side behind his on-screen persona. On May 19, 2014, Jace called 911 after fatally shooting his wife, April Jace, in their Los Angeles home. Tragically, their 2 young children were present during the horrifying incident, intensifying the heartbreak of the situation. During the investigation, authorities uncovered a history of marital tension and financial struggles, factors that may have contributed to the devastating crime. What once appeared to be a successful actor's life was later revealed to be marred by deep personal issues and an unthinkable act of violence. According to testimony, Jace, consumed by anger, accused his wife of wanting a divorce before shooting her. Witnesses described April, a devoted mother and accomplished athlete, as seeking independence as their marriage fell apart. The most chilling detail revealed in court was Jace's statement before pulling the trigger, "If you like running, then run to heaven," a remark that underscored the premeditated nature of his actions. In 2016, Jace was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. The case shocked the public, transforming the image of a beloved actor into that of a convicted criminal. His career, once marked by powerful performances, now serves as a stark reminder of how unresolved personal struggles and unchecked emotions can lead to irrevocable devastation. Drew Drexel, once celebrated as a champion of American Ninja Warrior, embodied resilience and physical excellence for millions of fans. His incredible skills and charismatic presence made him a standout figure in the world of competitive sports entertainment. His achievements were a testament to strength, perseverance, and determination, earning him the status of a role model for many aspiring athletes. Drew's journey in the spotlight was marked of Guns, was left devastated when his predatory behavior was uncovered in 2014. Hayden was accused of sexually assaulting a young girl, allegations that were initially questioned by some, but ultimately led to a series of shocking revelations about his long-term abuse of multiple victims, including his own daughter. The investigation revealed a chilling pattern of abuse, with Hayden grooming victims under the guise of family guidance and trust. Medical reports and testimony from victims confirmed the allegations, leaving no room for doubt. The case brought a swift and harsh end to his career, once built on a reputation of trust and expertise, now forever tarnished by his criminal actions. As these horrifying details came to light, public outrage intensified, leading to the immediate cancellation of Sons of Guns in 2017. Hayden was convicted of rape and aggravated sexual assault, receiving a life sentence without the possibility of parole, along with additional sentences to ensure he would never be released. Hayden's crimes not only destroyed his career, but also shattered the lives of his victims, many of whom continue to struggle with the long-lasting effects on their sense of safety and self-worth. His case serves as a stark reminder of the dangers that arise when power and trust are abused, leaving deep scars that extend far beyond the individual to affect countless lives. Shannon Richardson, once a familiar face in Hollywood with minor roles in The Walking Dead and The Vampire Diaries, shocked the world with an unthinkable crime. In 2013, Richardson became the center of a national scandal when she was arrested for sending ricin-laced letters to President Barack Obama and high-profile figures like New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg. The incident initially seemed unbelievable for someone with her background, but as the story unfolded, it revealed a sinister plot hidden beneath the facade of her acting career. What seemed like a shocking twist in a life of Hollywood glamour soon became a chilling reminder that appearances can often mask darker truths. Richardson's scheme unraveled when investigators linked the ricin-laced letters to her through forensic evidence, including fingerprints and documents recovered from her personal computer. In a desperate attempt to shift the blame, Richardson tried to frame her ex-husband, but irrefutable evidence proved she was solely responsible for the crime. The case not only shocked the public, but also exposed the psychological unraveling behind her public persona. From rising as an obscure actress to becoming an infamous criminal, Richardson was sentenced to 18 years in prison in July 2014. Her story serves as a chilling reminder of how even a small taste of fame can intersect with personal instability, leading to devastating consequences. Today, her name is no longer remembered for her on-screen roles, but instead stands as a grim example of how malice and poor decisions can destroy a life. The stories of these public figures stand as powerful reminders of how fame and influence can be misused, often with serious and lasting consequences. They invite us to take a closer look at celebrity culture and the vital role accountability plays, no matter a person's status. What do you think about these cases? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support our channel. Thanks for watching. You'll never look at Mary J. Blige the same way again after this. You're probably familiar with Mary J. Blige, the queen of hip-hop soul, who has won the hearts of millions with her emotional voice and powerful style. But behind all the glitter and fame lies a story that few people truly know. A story filled with challenges, pain, and resilience that only those who truly understand can fully appreciate. In this video, we'll dive into the hidden sides of Mary J. Blige's life, the moments that will make you view her in an entirely different light. Join us as we explore the journey, full of obstacles but also immense strength, that has shaped the woman she is today. Mary J. Blige has overcome many struggles in her life to become the music icon we know today. Were you surprised by the challenges she faced? Leave a 1 if you find her truly strong and inspiring, or a 0 if you think otherwise. Enjoy the video, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to continue supporting our channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. To the world, she was the epitome of perfection, a queen of hip-hop soul. Mary J. Blige, with a once-in-a-generation voice wrapped in power and platinum albums. But to those who truly understand her, she's not just the queen of music. She's a girl from Yonkers, struggling to survive the tough streets, her family, and the wounds of her past. Before everything unfolded, Mary felt a pain so deep it was beyond words. She remembered the moments of despair, when she felt like she no longer wanted to live. That was when she realized she had fallen in love with someone who had hurt her. She said, "I felt that I'd rather stay and take the hits than let him go, because I felt that if I let him go, I would die." But like so many others, Mary gradually regained her strength and proved that no one could replace her. The love story with Diddy was an emotionally charged chapter in Mary's life. Diddy wasn't just a friend, he was a mentor, a protector, and perhaps the biggest source of inspiration in her career. "When I entered the game, I didn't like myself. I didn't want to succeed. I was afraid of it," Mary admitted. But Diddy saw something in her, and he was the one who helped her reach success. Mary J. Blige has endured not only personal struggles but also turbulent moments in her career. She witnessed her own rise to fame, but it hasn't been without moments of reckoning with her past. Some say she's seen it all, while others claim she helped cover up things better left hidden. Now, fans are asking themselves, is she truly innocent? Mary J. Blige was born on January 11, 1971, at Forum Hospital in the Bronx, New York. But it wasn't the Bronx that raised her. She grew up in Yonkers, where life was never easy. The Schlobohm housing projects were her home, a concrete jungle filled with violence and gunshots. Domestic violence was an undeniable part of life there, not whispered but screamed through thin walls. Mary was raised by her mother, Cora Blige, a hard-working nurse with a deep passion for music. Cora was a strong woman, captivated by the legendary voices of Gladys Knight, Aretha Franklin, and Chaka Khan. Whenever she played their music, she hoped the strength within those songs would inspire her daughters. However, Cora also carried her own demons. She drank to cope with the pain from her broken marriage. Mary J. Blige is not just an artist. She is a symbol of resilience, rising from pain to become an inspiration for millions. She has not only overcome personal traumas, but also triumphed in the music industry, earning the title of Queen in the hearts of her fans, despite battling many shadows along her journey. Mary J. Blige faced many struggles from a very young age. Her father, Thomas Blige, left when she was just 4 years old. He was a Vietnam War veteran, battling his own psychological wounds. Though a jazz musician, music couldn't soothe his inner turmoil. He would occasionally appear in Mary's life, only to disappear again, like a ghost. Eventually, he stopped showing up altogether, leaving a deep void in her heart. Mary was filled with anger, angry at her father, at everything, and at the world. She recalls a time when she felt as though no one loved her. Love in my house was conditional. Affection was rare, but outside it was even worse. Mary witnessed the women in the Schlobohm housing projects, where she grew up with bruised eyes, torn lips, and sometimes barefoot, running out of their apartments in ragged clothes, screaming for help, but no one came. This became a part of life for her, something she no longer flinched at when hearing the screams in the night. The trauma didn't wait until adulthood. When Mary was just 5 years old, she was attacked at a friend's house during a party. It was a moment that shattered her sense of safety before it ever had the chance to form. When I was 5, I remember feeling really right before that happened, she shares. I couldn't believe that this person would do this to me. That wound stayed with her throughout her life, creating a sense of shame and self-blame, making her believe that she had no worth. She kept silent for many years, partly due to the shame and guilt, thinking that somehow it was her fault. This secret quietly developed into a deep wound. Mary began to believe that she was worthless, that she had nothing to offer, and perhaps that she deserved to suffer. Yet amid all the pain, she found a place where she could feel safe: the church. Mary found comfort in the gospel choirs, where her voice began to rise through the pain. Singing became her way to breathe, a release valve for the pressure she didn't know how to express. At school talent shows, Mary sang with her eyes closed, not because she was shy, but because it was the only way she could disappear. When she was 7, Mary performed Reunited by Peaches and Herb at her elementary school. Despite the applause, she didn't feel joy. The feeling of being exposed, unprotected, was what made her uncomfortable more than anything. As she grew older, she wore armor in the form of baggy jeans, Timberland boots, and a backwards cap. She didn't dress like the R&B stars on TV, but rather to hide herself, to avoid being seen and hurt even more. Mary says, I went through so much as a child and a teenager. I started to change, not because I was a boy, but I wore baggy jeans, Timberlands, and a backwards cap so I wouldn't stand out. Every day was a battle as she walked through the projects and had to look serious, because if she didn't, she risked being attacked, robbed, or worse. Her family lived in difficult circumstances, and Mary faced challenges not only from life, but also from within herself. She fought with boys, girls, and even with herself. But music was the place where she found comfort. Even though the world around her hardened her, music still helped soothe her pain. Even as a little girl, I had insecurities and was always sad, but singing made me feel free, she shares. It was the place where she found solace, the only place she could hold on to. Mary started singing with her sister, sitting on the windowsill, humming through the broken curtains, creating melodies from the sound of sirens and chaos. She didn't dream of fame, she only dreamed of escaping her reality. In 1988, she unknowingly stepped out of the shadows of her past, not through a record deal, but through a karaoke booth at the Galleria Mall in Westchester. At that time, Mary was only 17 years old, recently dropped out of school, working as a 411 operator, and trying to escape her painful past. One day, someone dared her to sing at the karaoke booth in the mall, a strange place nestled between kiosks and food courts. She hesitated, then walked in. Holding an Anita Baker record, overwhelmed with excitement, she began to sing not because she thought anyone would hear, but because she needed to hear herself. The raw, soulful recording was never meant to go anywhere, but miraculously, it reached the hands of Jeff Redd, a prominent artist at Uptown Records. And just like that, Mary J. Blige's voice escaped the mall, opening a new chapter in her tumultuous career. Mary J. Blige's voice eventually reached the ears of Andre Harrell, the founder of Uptown Records. For the first time in the industry, someone didn't want to change her. They just wanted to feel her. Andre didn't hear the polish, he didn't hear the training. He only heard the pain of a girl who had been through so much, a girl who had found her voice. Mary wasn't a diva in the conventional sense. She didn't have charm. She didn't have smiling interviews or a legendary lineage. What she had was the truth, raw and uncut. Uptown Records gave Mary a chance. No huge signing bonuses, no grand celebrations, just an opportunity. She joined the label's artist development program, singing backup for Jeff Redd, doing features, and learning the ropes of the industry. She was still living in the projects, still battling depression, still drinking, still partying, and still trying to avoid the traumas that haunted her like cigarette smoke. But now, she had started recording. In those early days, Mary didn't know how to act like a star, and she didn't pretend. She still wore what she liked: baggy jeans, Timberland boots, and a backwards cap. Mary didn't sing to overcome the pain. She sang through the song, allowing her true emotions to pour out. Her authenticity sent the entire record label into chaos. Uptown didn't know how to market her. Mary wasn't Whitney, she wasn't Janet. She wasn't what R&B had known before. But there was someone else paying attention. A new intern at Uptown, ambitious, loud, and dreaming of building a legend. Sean Puffy Combs. And then, one night, everything started to change. Sean Puffy Combs stepped into Mary's life. By the time he officially entered her orbit, Uptown Records was already vibrating with her voice. He watched her from the sidelines, recognizing the uniqueness in her sound, the strength and emotion that only Mary could bring. If you also feel the strength and inspiration from Mary's story, don't forget to leave a like and comment with a 1 if you feel as resilient as she is. If you disagree, leave a 0. Make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Unlike others, Puffy didn't ask her to sing like anyone else. He didn't try to turn her into someone else. He just wanted her to be herself. These first steps, though not easy, led Mary J. Blige to a legendary career that would later become a symbol of resilience, passion, and an unshakable power in music. Puffy didn't try to hide Mary J. Blige's rawness with layers of sequins or smooth out her edges. He wanted her to keep that roughness, to hold on to the girl in Tim's whose voice cracked because she was being real. Puffy believed that vulnerability wasn't a flaw but a weapon, and Mary J. Blige was the perfect person for him to harness that power. Together, they didn't just make songs, they created a whole new genre. Puffy began producing tracks that blended R&B vocals with heavy hip-hop beats, deep bass, sharp snares, and street soul music. Mary wasn't the kind of performer delivering orchestral ballads like the singers before her. She sang over powerful drum loops like gunshots echoing from the projects she grew up in. Her voice wasn't pure, it was raw and real, and that's exactly what made it unstoppable. In 1992, the album What's the 411 was released, a title that harked back to Mary's earlier job as a 411 operator, always listening before speaking. But now, the world was listening to her. Songs like You Remind Me and Real Love weren't just hits, they were bold statements. This wasn't just R&B, this was hip-hop soul. And Mary J. Blige wasn't just a new voice, she became a movement. However, behind the microphone, she was still struggling. The recording sessions weren't easy. Mary drank heavily, often recording while intoxicated, sometimes breaking down mid-session. Puffy pushed her relentlessly, demanding more from her each day. But no matter how much pain she endured, Mary kept showing up. She poured all her heartbreak, self-loathing, and the shame she carried from childhood into her songs. It was all hidden in every lyric. Fans didn't just hear Mary's songs, they felt them. She sang their pain. Black girls who had never seen themselves in the flawless images of pop stars finally had someone with a voice that mirrored theirs, filled with the same agony they carried. If What's the 411 was Mary J. Blige's introduction, then her next album would be an exorcism, a journey of liberating herself from deep emotional wounds. Along with Puffy, who reshaped her image, it was with Kai Haley that she truly had to face her heart. When they collaborated on a duet, the tension between them was impossible to hide. Fans could feel the conflict, a raw electric charge that even burst through the speakers. At the time, the group KT Jodeci was redefining the image of men in R&B instead of the familiar street image. They brought together boots, tattoos, and gospel-infused music. Mary's pain, with her powerful, emotionally charged voice, blended perfectly with Cates's raspy tone. But something like chemistry in the studio began to unravel behind the scenes. Their relationship, intense from the start, slowly grew complicated. Mary, still grappling with childhood trauma and fame that came too quickly, felt a loss of control. Kai, with her wild energy, was just as chaotic. When they were together, everything became heated, easily erupting. Friends began calling them the Ike and Tina of the 90s. While the comparison might have seemed playful at first, it wasn't long before rumors started to spread within the industry. He abused her, didn't he? And the answer is yes. She endured humiliation, betrayal, physical abuse, and insults. Despite her fame and the crowds cheering her name, Mary couldn't love herself. She believed she deserved the suffering. She still held on to the hope that Kai would change, thinking it was the price to pay for love. I felt that staying and taking the blows was better than letting him go. I felt like if I let him go, I would die. She lived with that belief, loving and enduring, even as everything was slowly falling apart. There were moments of joy, laughter, and the illusion of being the hottest couple in music. But inside, Mary was slowly breaking down. The wounds she had buried for so long, abandonment, addiction, and pain, began to surface. She started drinking more, using more, and those substances were no longer for fun. They became a numbing agent, a temporary escape from the agony. There's a story that was never confirmed but circulated within the industry. One night in Atlanta, Mary, furious and drunk, allegedly stormed into a party that Kai was attending. She was barefoot, her hair a mess, screaming, and Puffy had to drag her into a room to calm her down. It was in that moment she felt herself falling apart, losing control, and all of that collapse played out right in front of the public eye. Mary J. Blige, music, pain, and the proud journey of self-discovery. And yet somehow Mary still performed like a true professional. Music became her big explosion where she turned into real gold. She was truly becoming the queen of hip-hop soul. But behind that spotlight, Mary was still a woman struggling with herself, trying to prove she was strong, even when her heart was still full of unhealed pieces. Her relationship with K-Ci was on and off throughout the 90s. Mary shared that the moment she realized it was truly over wasn't marked by a punch or a fight. It was during an interview in 1995, while in the UK, that K-Ci was asked whether he was going to marry Mary. He laughed, shrugged, and said, "That's not serious." That answer was a wake-up call for Mary. It made her realize she had been holding on to someone who never intended to walk that path with her. And worse, she had built part of her career around that illusion. But this story isn't just about heartbreak. It marked the beginning of Mary facing herself. Her music started to shift. Her lyrics grew darker, and her performances became rawer and more honest. This was no longer the Mary J. Blige from What's the 411. This was the My Life era. And with Before the Rebirth, Mary created an emotional, soul-deep musical storm, like a diary of depression, addiction, and unhealed trauma. During this time, Mary drank heavily, not at parties, but alone. Cognac for breakfast, champagne in the studio, and sometimes she'd even bring a bottle to interviews just to feel numb. Faint lines of coke, studio sessions blurred, there were times she couldn't even remember being there. In an especially dark moment in her apartment, Mary admitted that the problem had become bigger than she could have ever imagined. She said, "It was bigger than me, and it was definitely coming for me. So I thought, this is it, let's go." She remembers sitting on her bed, feeling like her soul was about to leave her body. "I cried and said, 'Please, God, no, not now, I don't want this.' I prayed like I remembered praying." While everyone around her, including Puffy, thought My Life was a masterpiece, Mary felt misunderstood. She wasn't just creating a vibe, she was documenting a breakdown. Her beats might have sounded warm, but her lyrics were anything but hidden. One line from the album struck a deep chord. "How can I love somebody else if I can't love myself enough to know when it's time to let go?" She was speaking directly about K-Ci, the man who forced her to confront herself, and the pain she could no longer hide. Mary J. Blige's relationship was falling apart, riddled with constant arguments, physical abuse, and a deep sense of insecurity. The man she once believed would be her lifelong partner, the one she defended and trusted, publicly humiliated her in front of millions. He had supposedly proposed to her with a ring, only to deny it days later during a television interview in the UK. That betrayal devastated Mary. It broke her. But in that painful chapter, something else began to shift because it was during this time that Kendu Isaacs entered her life. Kendu was a calm and grounded man, working behind the scenes in artist management. Mary first met him while working in the studio with Queen Latifah's team. He wasn't flashy, nor was he caught up in the hype of the entertainment industry. He was simply steady, and that steadiness made Mary feel, for the first time in a long while, truly seen and protected. It marked the beginning of something new in her life, a shift from chaos toward stability, or at least the hope of it. Still, this new love couldn't erase the pain. By 1995, Mary J. Blige wasn't just famous, she was deeply rooted in the music industry. Her voice echoed everywhere, and her face became an unavoidable presence across all forms of media. But behind all that recognition, something quieter was solidifying her legacy. Mary wasn't just an artist, she was becoming a symbol of growth and reinvention, not only in her career but also in her evolving relationship with Puff Daddy. Puffy, who had once been a clumsy intern in the studio, was now Sean "Puffy" Combs' executive powerhouse behind Bad Boy Records. He hadn't just built a music empire, he had shaped the rise of some of the biggest stars of the era, including Biggie Smalls and Faith Evans. Puff had become a force in the music industry, and Mary remained an essential part of that journey. Her presence, voice, and authenticity were deeply woven into the legacy he was building. Their relationship was never just about business. You could feel the bond between them in interviews, magazine cover shoots, and the way Mary was introduced as Puff's artist. She wasn't just part of Bad Boy, she was the embodiment of what Puff could create from nothing. But not everyone saw it that way. Some believed Mary wasn't merely a star Puff helped shape, they saw her as a pawn in a much bigger game he was playing. Mary stood by Puff throughout this journey, witnessing the arguments, the deals, and the whispered networks within the industry. And over the years, questions continued to surface. What had Mary seen during those years? What did she know about the dark secrets of the music world? Insiders claim that Mary attended parties that would later become the subject of court records and documentary films. Her story, with all its secrets and complex relationships, remains an integral part of the tumultuous journey of the music industry. Mary J. Blige was there when the power games were played and the masks started to slip. Some believe that her silence during those years wasn't out of loyalty, but out of survival. Throughout that time, she never said too much. Her interviews were brief, carefully curated. But you can't live close to the fire without smelling the smoke. And surely Mary witnessed more than she was ever willing to reveal. The brand that Puff built for Mary J. Blige, from her look and sound to her public image, wasn't just a typical marketing strategy. It was the story of a woman carrying pain and secrets that couldn't be hidden. While Puff soared, building Bad Boy into an empire and receiving endless accolades, the scars on Mary's soul deepened. She wasn't just a star, she was a woman being reshaped, repackaged while carrying secrets that no one could see. By the early 2000s, Mary J. Blige had outlasted most of those who had once controlled her story. Puff had shifted his focus, building Bad Boy into a formidable empire. However, Mary still carried her own burdens. The bruises of life, unfavorable contracts, and the whispers about her continued to linger. She endured it all alone, but not all the pain came from the material aspects. A significant portion of it stemmed from things she couldn't help but see and feel. When she began to share the things she had suppressed for so many years, the weight of her words shattered the air like glass. Mary didn't share just for attention or to make headlines. She shared because she had no other way to keep going. The industry could cheer for her success, but even then she still didn't feel safe. Not in love, not in her work, and not even in herself. Her life was still full of struggles. Her drinking increased. The cracks in her mask became more apparent, and one night she swore it felt like her soul was trying to leave her body. That was when she prayed not for fame or money, but simply to survive the dark days she was going through. Music was no longer enough to soothe her. She needed something deeper, something that could truly offer her comfort. And then, that something came, in the form of Kendu Isaacs. At first, when Mary met Kendu Isaacs, she felt as though she had been saved. He brought stability, maturity, and the presence of a father figure. He helped her overcome obstacles, making her feel safe and protected. Mary entrusted him with everything: her trust, her career, and even her name. But history has a way of repeating itself. Looking back, she realized that the greatest lesson she learned about herself was to never doubt her intuition. She came to understand that she needed to love herself more than anyone else. Years later, when Mary filed for divorce, she found herself back at square one. Once again, she felt shattered, betrayed, and silently wounded. Kendu, the man she had trusted, asked her for monthly alimony payments, even though he had built his entire lifestyle off of Mary. But Mary didn't stop moving forward. She kept working tirelessly. She toured, paid alimony, settled taxes, released new albums, earned an Oscar nomination, and even headlined the Super Bowl. That's the thing about Mary J. Blige. Even though the world tried to rewrite her story, she always held the pen to write her own life. Despite facing countless challenges, Mary never gave up. She fought and rose above, proving that no one could dictate her life except herself. And whether she's the strong woman on stage or the one navigating real life, Mary J. Blige will always be the one holding the pen to tell her own story. What do you think about Mary J. Blige's journey, full of struggles yet also immense strength? Do you feel she has inspired you? If you also feel strong and resilient like Mary, leave a 1 in the comments. If you disagree, leave a 0. Enjoy the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to support our channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Hello everyone. Today we will take a look at famous actors who are currently passively in prison. Little known but surprising and shocking stories in the entertainment world. From the famous stars who once made waves on the screen to the seemingly light names that have disappeared, all have dark secrets behind the halo. Do you know any of them? If so, leave the number 1. If not, comment the number 0. Discover the truth behind the famous names, and don't forget to enjoy the video until the end. Please like and subscribe to the channel to support us to make more interesting content. Allison Mack, renowned for her role in the series Smallville, became the center of a shocking case in 2018 when she was arrested for her involvement in human trafficking and conspiracy linked to the NXIVM organization. This organization was described as a secretive network that engaged in remarkably exploitative practices. The police investigation uncovered Mack's involvement in enticing women to join the organization, founded by Keith Raniere, who faced allegations of human trafficking and forced labor. Although she was released on bail, Mack was still confronted with significant legal repercussions. In 2021, she received a sentence of 3 years in prison, followed by 3 years of probation, 1,000 hours of community service, and a $20,000 fine. After serving 21 months, Mack was released in July 2023. Her descent from a television star to a convicted criminal serves as a stark reminder of the dangers associated with power and its abuse in a world rife with temptations. Her story is not only a serious warning but also highlights the importance of remaining vigilant against the allure of power and exploitation. In downtown Los Angeles, Zach Avery, an actor struggling with big dreams but modest talent, found himself trapped in the relentless cycle of auditions and rejections. Frustrated and desperate for success, Zach hatched a bold plan. From 2014 to 2019, Zach transformed himself into a smooth-talking con artist, weaving grand tales to convince hundreds, including his loved ones, to invest in his fictitious movie rights scheme. With promises of lucrative deals with streaming giants like Netflix and HBO, Zach amassed a fortune by exploiting the trust of others. But behind the facade of success lay a dark truth. Zach's promises were nothing more than illusions. In reality, Zach was running a Ponzi scheme using money from new investors to pay off old debts while continuing his deceit. Eventually, the law caught up with Zach, and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison, forced to face the consequences of his actions. He was also ordered to repay over $230 million to his victims. As Zach languished in prison, his downfall served as a stark reminder of the dangers of chasing dreams through dishonest means. His story echoed throughout Hollywood as a cautionary tale about the importance of integrity and honesty in the pursuit of success. William Hayden is a prominent American television personality, best known for his leading role on the reality show Sons of Guns on the Discovery Channel. The show focused on the crafting and repair of firearms while providing insights into military culture and weaponry. Prior to his rise to fame, Hayden was an experienced gunsmith and established his own firearms business. His television presence quickly garnered attention from viewers due to his in-depth knowledge and strong personality. However, Hayden's career suffered a severe blow in 2014 when he was arrested and faced serious charges related to sexual crimes. These allegations not only damaged his reputation, but also marked the end of his television career. In 2017, Hayden was sentenced to 3 life terms, plus an additional 40 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Will Hayden's story serves not only as a reflection of fame, but also as a stark reminder of the serious repercussions that can arise from personal actions. Jen Shah is best known for her role on Bravo's The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, where she is recognized for her sharp remarks and dramatic personality. However, in March 2021, she faced criminal charges related to money laundering and wire fraud. Along with her assistant, Shah was accused of running a phone scam targeting elderly victims, defrauding them of significant amounts of money by offering services like website creation and business coaching that were essentially worthless. Reports reveal the heartbreaking stories of victims such as 75-year-old Tricia from North Carolina, who invested over $47,000 in business coaching services. Another victim, World War II veteran Ralph Hick, lost more than $100,000. Sadly, Hick passed away at the age of 92, and his family believes that the scam was a contributing factor to his death. Text messages between Shah and her accomplices indicated they discussed strategies to keep victims engaged and make them spend more money. Initially pleading not guilty, Shah later admitted to wire fraud. She was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison and is currently serving her time at the Federal Correctional Institution Bryan in Texas, with the possibility of parole in August 2028. Actor Jeffrey Jones may not be a household name for everyone, but his unforgettable performances in classic films like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Beetlejuice helped cement his place in Hollywood history. Known for his ability to balance humor, depth, and even menace, Jones built a career as a versatile supporting actor. However, behind his success and excellent performances lies a major scandal that ultimately overshadowed his legacy and damaged his public image. Born in Buffalo, New York in 1946, Jones showed a passion for acting from a young age. He studied drama at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art before honing his acting skills on stage. By the late 1970s, Jones transitioned to film and television, where his expressive face and commanding voice helped him carve out a niche in eccentric, often authoritative roles. His breakthrough moment came in 1986 with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he played Edward R. Rooney, the bumbling school principal obsessed with catching Ferris skipping school. Jones's performance turned Rooney into one of the most memorable villains of the 1980s, solidifying his reputation as a popular comedic talent. Jones's success continued with his role as Charles Dietz, the stressed-out father of a family that accidentally moves into a haunted house in Tim Burton's Beetlejuice in 1988. Jones showcased his versatility by shifting from the villainous Rooney to a quirky yet endearing father. His collaboration with Burton continued in films like Ed Wood and Sleepy Hollow, further solidifying the range of his acting. Jones also delivered an outstanding performance in Amadeus as Emperor Joseph II, where his blend of authority and humor earned praise from critics. By the 1990s, he had become a familiar face in Hollywood, beloved for his unique energy and ability to elevate any role. However, in 2002, Jones faced serious legal trouble when allegations of inappropriate conduct were raised. Reports indicated that he was involved in activities that led to an investigation uncovering troubling evidence. These allegations marked a major turning point in his career, shocking both fans and colleagues. The incident caused his career to come to an abrupt halt and sparked widespread public discussion. In 2003, Jones entered a no-contest plea and received a sentence of 5 years of probation, mandatory counseling, and lifetime registration as a sex offender. The fallout from this scandal was immediate and severe. Hollywood shunned Jones and his burgeoning career plummeted, leaving him with only minor roles. The public found it difficult to separate him from his offenses, and studios and directors steered clear. Jones's past achievements were overshadowed by his personal actions. If you're finding this content compelling, feel free to hit the like button now to support the channel, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Just one click makes a huge difference in motivating us to create more quality videos. Now let's move on to the next individual. Ian Watkins, the former lead singer of the emo band Lost Prophets, shocked the world and hurt his loyal fans when he was arrested at the end of 2012 on multiple charges related to minors. Known as a voice for outsiders and an inspiration to many, Watkins's downfall became a shocking turn of events that few could have imagined. Initially, both fans and band members supported Ian Watkins, but they were forced to withdraw their support as the severity of his crimes was revealed. The evidence of child abuse that Watkins committed was some of the most shocking and painful that police had ever encountered. Ultimately, Watkins pleaded guilty to several charges, including possession of illegal materials and other serious offenses, to spare the jury from confronting the horrific evidence. He was sentenced to 29 years in prison, along with an additional 6 years of supervised release. Since being incarcerated, Watkins's health and appearance have deteriorated significantly, making him nearly unrecognizable, although some fans and old friends still visit him. His reputation as a musician has been permanently destroyed. Amy Locane, an actress known for her role in John Waters' musical comedy Cry Baby, and as Sandy Harling in the first season of Melrose Place, faced a tragic incident on June 27, 2010, when she was involved in a fatal car accident in Montgomery, New Jersey. While driving at high speed, Locane collided with Fred Seaman's vehicle, resulting in the tragic death of his 60-year-old wife, Helene Seaman. Subsequent tests revealed that Locane's blood alcohol level was nearly 3 times the legal limit. As a result, she was convicted of vehicular manslaughter and aggravated assault, by Otto initially receiving a 3-year prison sentence. However, after several court rulings and reviews, her sentence was increased to 8 years in September 2020. Locane is currently serving her time at a women's correctional facility and is expected to serve more than 6 years before being eligible for parole. The case attracted considerable public attention, igniting debates about the legal system and sentencing practices in New Jersey, raising questions about accountability and road safety. Locane's story is not only a personal tragedy, but also a stark reminder of the serious repercussions of driving under the influence. Michael Jace, best known for his role in the television series The Shield, faced a tragic turning point in his life when he was charged with murdering his wife, April Jace. The incident occurred on May 20, 2014, when April was found dead from a gunshot wound. Jace called the police and confessed to his actions. Following his arrest, details of the case gradually emerged, leading to a highly publicized trial. On June 10, 2016, Jace was sentenced to life in prison. His actions not only shocked the community, but also left his fans and colleagues in disbelief and mourning. Michael Jace's story is a poignant reminder of the horrific consequences of violence and the vital importance of supporting victims. It also highlights the relentless efforts of law enforcement to secure justice and protect those affected by acts of violence. Ryan Grantham, a 24-year-old actor famous for his roles in television and movies, shocked the world when he committed a heinous crime in 2020. Grantham pleaded guilty to second-degree murder of his mother, Barbara Waite, and was sentenced to life in prison with no eligibility for parole for 14 years. According to CBC, during a June hearing in Vancouver, the court heard the horrifying details of the crime. Grantham fatally shot his 64-year-old mother in the back of the head while she was playing the piano on March 31, 2020. Even more disturbing, he recorded a video confession of the murder and hid her body. The shocking story doesn't end there. The day after the murder, Grantham loaded his car with 3 guns, ammunition, 12 Molotov cocktails, and camping gear with the intent to attack Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. However, he changed his mind and decided to turn himself in to Vancouver police. Presiding Judge Kathleen Kerr called Grantham's decision not to carry out the attack his saving grace. Psychiatric reports presented in court showed that Grantham had expressed a desire to harm himself, along with feelings of self-hatred and guilt after killing his mother. According to CBC, the court concluded that Grantham had been battling depression for months before the murder. They determined that he killed his mother to prevent her from witnessing the violence he had planned. Tay-K, one of the youngest artists on this list, is currently serving a 55-year prison sentence. In 2017, he was gaining traction in the hip-hop scene with his hit The Race, making its way up the Billboard Hot 100 chart, but everything changed on the very day the song was released. After 3 months on the run, he was arrested by the police. Unfortunately, Tay-K was connected to serious criminal cases. In 2016, Tay-K took part in a home invasion that resulted in the death of a young man named Ethan Walker. The initial plan was to rob a drug dealer and his friends. Tay-K was placed under house arrest for these charges, but that wasn't his style. He cut off his ankle monitor and fled, even bragging about it on Twitter, daring the police to catch him. While on the run, Tay-K's situation worsened when he got involved in a robbery that resulted in a man's death outside a Chick-fil-A in Texas. On top of that, he attacked and robbed a 65-year-old man who later identified him to the police. Since 2017, Tay-K has been in custody and is facing a minimum of 27.5 years in prison before he can be considered for parole. Joe Sun, known for his minor role in the first Austin Powers film, attracted attention not for his acting career, but for the serious crimes he committed. His life took a dark turn with convictions for violent acts, sexual assault, and manslaughter. In 2011, he was convicted of torturing and sexually assaulting a victim in Huntington Beach. Later, he faced an additional manslaughter charge related to the death of his cellmate Michael Graham while serving his sentence. Joe Sun's criminal history began in 1990 with a terrifying case involving kidnapping, sexual assault, and threats against a woman on Christmas Eve. Initially evading detection, he was later connected to the crime through DNA evidence after a conviction for felony vandalism. Despite a brief moment in the spotlight, Joe Sun's criminal acts eclipsed any semblance of a career. His violent and predatory actions ultimately led to imprisonment and even death while incarcerated. Joe Sun's story serves as a stark reminder of the severe and lasting consequences of criminal behavior, underscoring the profound harm inflicted on victims and society alike. Kyalan Rashad Walker serves as a striking example of the abuse of power and trust in the online world. He exploited his public image and social media tools to reach out to victims, crafting a facade of personal connection and interest. Walker not only deceived, but also manipulated the admiration and trust of fans, especially vulnerable young women, to perpetrate abuse. Walker's 50-year prison sentence is a significant milestone in holding sexual offenders accountable and ensuring they face serious consequences for their actions. However, continued efforts to strengthen victim protections and improve the legal system remain crucial. Walker's case sends a powerful warning to society and the justice system about the vital role of protecting and supporting vulnerable individuals while ensuring that perpetrators are fully held accountable under the law. Zara Fithian, 39, and her husband, Victor Mark, 59, recently faced trial at Nottingham Crown Court in the UK, where they were convicted of 14 counts of sexual abuse. Their crimes took place from 2005 to 2008, when the victim was still a minor. According to BBC testimony from the victim, identified as A, detailed the couple's brutal abuse. The victim reported being threatened into silence and feeling unable to escape the situation. Additionally, Victor Mark faces 4 additional charges after another woman accused him of sexually abusing her between 2002 and 2003 when she was under 18. Senior Investigation Officer Parander Dillon expressed appreciation for the courage of both victims and hoped that the sentencing would bring them some comfort. He also emphasized that this case would serve as a cautionary lesson for others. Adidja Palmer, better known as Vybz Kartel, is a renowned reggae and dancehall artist from Jamaica, once celebrated globally. However, his life took a turn when he was allegedly involved in the theft of a firearm he believed Clive "Lizard" Williams had stolen. In retaliation, Kartel was said to have plotted Williams' death. Unlike another musician we'll discuss later in this video who ended up in prison after mistakenly targeting an innocent homeless man, Cartel faced significant legal troubles of his own. On December 29, 2011, authorities arrested Cartel, charging him with drug possession and illegal firearms. Although he was granted bail on these charges, he remained in custody due to his involvement in Clive Williams's murder. Cartel's trial faced significant delays, including a 3-year postponement due to challenges in jury selection. Finally, on November 18, 2013, an 11-member jury found him guilty after a 65-day trial, one of the longest in Jamaican history. Consequently, Cartel was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after serving 32 years and 6 months. This means he could be considered for release in 2046, in case you were wondering about the timeline. As for R. Kelly Robert, his legal troubles began in the 1990s, but he was not formally indicted until 2021. In the early 2000s, he was one of the most popular R&B artists, but now he is serving a prison sentence for charges including human trafficking and sexual abuse. R. Kelly's troubles first came to light in 1994 when he was accused of persuading singer Aaliyah to falsify her birth certificate so they could marry while she was still underage. Disturbing events continued to emerge in the following years, including allegations that R. Kelly injured a woman in 1996. By 2002, videos documenting his inappropriate behavior with minors circulated widely, and a camera of his containing inappropriate images was confiscated. Despite this evidence, the charges were eventually dismissed due to insufficient convincing proof. However, the case did not end there. R. Kelly was accused of holding multiple women as hostages in a harmful environment, and as this information spread, many women courageously came forward to accuse him of abuse. As a result, R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison in June 2022. Toby Willis is a shocking revelation behind the once-beloved TLC show featuring the Willis clan, a musical family led by Toby Willis and his 12 children, who captivated audiences with their talent. Their journey took them to the quarterfinals of America's Got Talent in 2014, where they received widespread praise and admiration from viewers nationwide. But few were aware of the dark truth hidden behind the image of the Willis family, a secret that could have destroyed their entire reputation. Beneath the warm and loving facade of the family lay a horrifying reality. Toby Willis was in fact an unlawful sexual predator, targeting 4 girls, including his 3 daughters and a relative, while they were under the age of 18. This heartbreaking truth came to light in 2016, when a brave victim decided to speak out and report the abuse to authorities. Toby Willis was arrested, and even more disturbing details were uncovered. In 2017, he pleaded guilty to 4 counts of sexual abuse of a minor, permanently tarnishing the image he had built in the public eye. He was subsequently sentenced to 40 years in prison without the possibility of parole and ordered to pay a staggering $1.4 million to his victims. Additionally, he was required to register as a sex offender for life. The repercussions of his heinous crimes rippled through his entire family. Bill Cosby was once one of America's most famous comedians and television producers, widely known as the father of the American family through the hit show The Cosby Show. With his image as a model father, he captured the hearts of audiences and became a cultural icon for decades. His charming humor and unique storytelling helped establish his brand and made Cosby one of the most influential stars of the 1980s and 1990s. However, his illustrious career quickly collapsed when numerous sexual assault allegations surfaced, shaking the entertainment industry and American society. In 2018, after a lengthy trial with extensive evidence presented, Bill Cosby was convicted of sexually assaulting Andrea Constand. This case was not only a shock to his fans, but also sparked movements demanding justice and rights for sexual assault victims worldwide, helping to change how society views and handles similar cases. Currently, Bill Cosby is serving his sentence in a Pennsylvania state prison under strict supervision and with many daily restrictions. His case has not only changed the way people view celebrities, but also serves as a profound warning about the seriousness of sexual violence in modern society. It is also a valuable lesson in responsibility and ethics, reminding us that fame and power cannot hide the truth or justice. Before Young Thug released hits like Pick Up the Phone and Lifestyle, he was reportedly involved in several gang-related crimes. On May 9, 2022, the rapper was arrested on charges related to conspiracy and gang activity dating back to 2013. There are a total of 56 different charges against him, many of which are very serious. One of the charges links him to the rental of an Infiniti Q50 sedan that was used in the murder of a rival gang member, Donovan Thomas Jr. In addition to the conspiracy and gang-related charges, Young Thug faced further allegations after police raided his home. He was charged with possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute. Additionally, the police discovered several dangerous weapons in his residence, including sawed-off shotguns and rifles. More gang-related charges were added to his record. Young Thug is affiliated with the YSL Street Gang, and 27 other gang members are also facing criminal charges. He is currently in custody awaiting trial set for January 9, 2023. If convicted, he could face up to 20 years in prison. Austin Jones rose to fame with his singing videos on YouTube, including covers and original songs attracting over 500,000 subscribers and millions of views. However, in 2015, Jones unexpectedly canceled his upcoming Vans Warped tour and posted a YouTube video in which he acknowledged the allegations against him and expressed remorse. On June 9, 2017, authorities searched Jones's home under a warrant issued by a U.S. federal judge. That same day, Jones was arrested at O'Hare International Airport. He was subsequently sentenced to 10 years in federal prison on May 3, 2019. Shockingly, during the investigation, it was revealed that several other individuals had also attempted to cover up his misconduct. As a result, Jones's YouTube channel was removed. Danny Masterson's journey reflects the classic tale of highs and lows, with success overshadowed by turmoil. Born in Long Island, New York in 1976, Masterson gained fame playing Stephen Hyde in the hit television series That 70s Show, captivating audiences with his mysterious character. However, his career took an unexpected turn in the mid-2010s when serious allegations of sexual assault surfaced, tarnishing his once bright image. The major shock came in June 2020, when Masterson officially faced 3 charges of sexual assault. The public legal battle and proceedings have cast a dark shadow over Danny Masterson's personal and professional life. The fallout was swift, with his talent agency severing ties and distancing him from the industry that once embraced him. As of 2023, at age 47, Masterson remains in legal limbo. Public focus on the case highlights the complexities of fame, power, and accountability in entertainment. The case's outcome is bound to shape his future, profoundly impacting his career and personal legacy. Born in Des Moines, Iowa in 1947, Collins pursued acting from a young age, studying at prestigious institutions and honing his skills on stage. His talent for both serious and lighthearted roles quickly helped him rise in Hollywood, with performances in iconic works such as Star Trek, the motion picture Jumping Jack Flash, and The First Wives Club. By the mid-1990s, Collins had become a familiar and respected figure in the industry. When Seventh Heaven premiered in 1990,